Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Jazakallah khair for being on time. So we should get started because we have a lot to go through again. So today, inshallah, we have with us Sister Aisha. She lives in Sharjah and she is one of our key 5D members. MashaAllah, she is involved in a lot of the initial work that was done for the 5D writing and running the existence and meaning programs as well. And also, forgot I was going to say something about you. No, there's something about the newsletter. She's also the she compiles a newsletter. She's one of the editorial members. So we have a newsletter which comes every couple of months, and mashallah, it's very, very detailed. So she is the one responsible for compiling it. And alhamdulillah, she is doing a couple of PhDs at the same time, mashallah. So we hope that today she's going to be instrumental in helping us really get to the depth of the 5D model. So what we decided is that we're going to do this topic, cells and their functions, as the 5D model. And what we would like is no interruptions or questions while she completes the presentation. So please write your questions down. After she has done the presentation, then you can ask questions in order to get the real the connections to be very, very clear. Because yesterday when we were doing the topic, it went on for a very long time, and because of the questions, I feel that there was no clarification of how the steps go from one to the other, inshallah. So Aisha, jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning everyone. Sabah al khair. Good night then. What else? How do you say it in your language? Sabah khair, yeah? I hope everyone's doing well. I know that today is almost the 4th day of the program. 5th day of the program. You have done an amazing job of attending the past few days. I know it's a lot. This is something new, and that's why we're happy to have you here to disseminate these ideas, these thoughts, and to put these ideas into the future generation. So today's topic will be about cells and their function. We'll see together how we can design such kind of writing that conveys scientific ideas in a simple way that can get to us and the students that we are teaching with having Islamic ideology as the back end of this. So to recall what the 5D thinking pillars are, we first have the analytical thinking. Some of you have been doing their assignments, and you know by now what is analytical thinking. We also call it explore when simplifying the model to the method to the kids. The aim of this is to give a scientific understanding of the topic, whatever it is. Then the second dimension is the analogical thinking. When you have a topic, you need to compare it to something else in order for you to see the shortcomings of the latter, of the analogy. So we also call it compare, where we see the observed phenomenon versus the human-made phenomenon. Then we have the critical thinking. This is the core part where we question of how that observed phenomenon took place and came into existence. Similarly, how did the analogy we chose came into existence? And this is how we explore the maker of such phenomenon. Number 4 is the meditative thinking. In this dimension, we focus on connecting this phenomenon to the entire universe, to us, and to God, the one who made it. Following that, the last dimension is the moral thinking. This is something we lack in education today in science. So we go to a science class, we explain the topic, and that's it. Where is the moral aspect of that? And we need to build the character of the students. This is done by this dimension in which we appreciate this phenomenon as a gift for us. So As per convention in every topic, when writing for a science book or any related field, you have to have learning outcomes, yes? Now, how do we design those learning outcomes when we are writing something in 5D? First of all, you have to introduce the topic, that we will be using the 5D method to explore this topic, to know about it. Then you will identify the learning goals. Why are we doing this? What is the goal of having this or reading this chapter or lesson? After that, you will make sure that you are aligning the topic with the desired results. We'll appreciate it as a gift from God. We'll learn from it how to be better people, and so on. So for number 1, introducing the topic, it would be something like this. Through 5-step thinking, students will explore the world of cells and their functions. For number 2, they will develop an understanding of different parts of the cells and their roles. They will also reject nature, cause, and chance as source of cells. And to align with the desired results, this is how we will write it. They will realize that cells result from the one who amazingly creates and controls the entire universe. They will learn the divine names revealed or reflected in such kind of phenomenon. So when you are writing the learning outcomes, it will be a small paragraph, and it's encouraged to have those 3 pillars of that learning outcomes. So you as a teacher and students know where you are going just by reading this small paragraph at the very beginning. Now we move to the first dimension, which is explore. To start writing in this dimension, you have to think of the features and characteristics of the topic you are talking about. So if you're talking about stars, for example, you will be explaining what are stars, where are they. Same to the cells. We will say cells are incredible building blocks. So this is an example. So for when you are writing your assignments, this is how you would introduce the topic. Cells are incredible building blocks of life found in various living organisms. They come in different shapes and sizes and do different functions. There are different parts like animal cells and plant cells as well. So this is very brief, no 5D thinking here, nothing new. Just pure knowledge, sharing it or putting it into text. Then we want to think about the relevance of the topic. Why is the student studying about this? Why cells? Well, we explain to them, for example, we rely on cells for many things. We need through cells that make up our bodies, we grow and heal, so it's through them. We're implicitly saying that it's not the cells on their own that are the reason why we grow and heal, it's through cells. Through them, we get energy for our activities. Then you want to think about the importance of the topic, so the students realize why this topic is important. Why are we discussing cells today in this classroom? Well, cells are made to help us grow, heal from injuries, produce energy, fight off illness. They also allow us to see, hear, touch, taste, and help living things reproduce and stay healthy. So this is the importance of the topic, in addition to the relevance as well. Then we have parts or categories of the topic. So if we're talking about stars, for example, we will classify stars. We'll say some are red stars, yellow stars, and different classification of stars. The same applies to cell. You will say we have animal cells and plant cells. Now, depending on the grade you are teaching, for example, if you're teaching grade 1, you'll just talk about cells in general. And then you would have bullet points and say, for example, chlorophyll exists in plant cells too. But if you are teaching it for an advanced grade, maybe grade 6 or grade 7, you will have a separate lesson for each type of cell. So you always have to take into consideration the age group you are taking or teaching. And I'm sure you've seen this. We usually conclude this dimension, the explore dimension, by having fascinating facts. This sometimes takes time because you don't want to present facts that are already there or are already known by the students. So this will take some effort from you to look for really fascinating facts that would fascinate you as well. For example, did you know that your cells contain enough DNA to stretch from the earth to the sun and back multiple times? Now, if you say this to a student and you put the sun, earth, and all of that, this will be very engaging, and it will make them realize how amazing the cells are. And at the end of each dimension, we try to have an introductory video, something from YouTube, and you have to be mindful of that. For example, you have to choose a video that can be understood by kids, depending on the age group. And we try to have that video across all dimensions, but sometimes it's not possible. Second is the compare dimension. And given that you have heard about the foundations of this model and all of that, some of you did your assignments, can you help us think of an analogy to cells and their functions? I want to hear your answers through this application. If you can just scan the QR code. So we see that the majority of the answers is factory, and we'll see the analogy we used in the slides. Bricks or blocks of buildings. Where? This is, if you're asking about this, this is for us to engage you. So you as a teacher, you are the writer, and the ones responding to this are only the people inside this room. Okay, so the majority of the answers are factory or building blocks. I'm interested to hear about cereals, but maybe after the session is over. So the one we chose was very close to your answers, smartphone factory. I think very similar to what most of you said. In the compare step, depending on the age group, again, sometimes we just write things normally, and sometimes we put it in a story. Why? Because it's easier for kids to understand when you talk to them about something in a story way. So here we have the story of Ahmed visiting this factory and how he will explore how smartphone factory resembles cells in human body. So let's read together. Ahmed noticed trucks arriving and departing at the factory gates. As he watched, they carried essential components and finished products, reminding him of the cell membrane, the protective barrier of a cell that controls what enters and leaves. So you see, you as a teacher, you will be writing a story. In this story, you will be comparing the observed phenomenon, something like cells, and the analogy. And you will put them together the way we are doing it here, not necessarily, but something in line of that. If we continue the story for all of us to see how we are doing it in terms of comparison, Ahmed observed assembly lines resembling the cytoskeleton in a cell. How? Just like the cytoskeleton provides structure and shape to a cell, the assembly lines provide a framework for the production process. And one of you said assembly lines, which was excellent. Constantly shifting and adjusting to the production needs. He also noticed that some of the assembled smartphones were taken to the quality control department. And what does the quality control department represent? It represents the role of mitochondria in a cell, which generates energy and regulates cell metabolism. So this is just a snippet from the one-page story we have written in order to show students how we are comparing cells to the smartphone factory. Then, in order to feed this aspect with additional remarks, we will think of the pros and cons of the analogy we used. So, for example, making phones can hurt the earth and make it dirty. This is in very simple language, while cells in our bodies work together and do not cause any kind of hurt or leave any waste behind. In our bodies, cells are designed to work together to do many jobs for a long time. On the other hand, workers in the factory can get tired and may be exposed to dangerous materials. Why are we saying this? For the students to think of the greatness of cells when compared to something as a smartphone factory. We need a lot of people here, a lot of experience, a lot of time, as compared to cells which are given as a gift from God. And if possible, you will be adding a video that shows students how smartphone factory works, what the workers are doing, what kind of materials they are using to make those phones, and so on. Why video? Because it would be more entertaining and engaging. For example, if we watch the video now, I'm sure it will break the ice somehow and you will be further engaged. But due to time constraints, we will not be presenting any video. Then we'll move to the question or the critical thinking dimension, which can be the most challenging. The aim and goal of this dimension is to enable students to negate nature, cause, and chance as the source of the phenomenon. So before displaying any points, when we think about a cell phone, did it come by chance? Was it here randomly? No, there was a team behind making this phone. There was a huge factory to make many copies of this phone, and it can be damaged. But how about cells? There are no people working to make cells for you. And once it gets damaged, it is designed to repair itself. So how do you get students to negate nature or nature-made cells? How is that possible? So one of the things you will have to think about is questioning the phenomenon's awareness. We question cells. Do cell parts know we need them to work non-stop for us to live? Do cells know us personally? Do they know they have to keep us alive? Do they have awareness? Do they have conscience? Do they know us and care about us? Those cells that are made by God. No, they don't. They don't know us. Now we question nature's role. Can nature on its own guide our cells? This is for the cells. Can it make cell phones? This is for the analogy. So here we are putting nature's role into action, where we are questioning its ability to make the observed phenomena like the cells, or the analogy like the smartphones. We also question the analogy's consciousness. Do nature know we need cells? Or does it know that we need cell phones? So of course the answer will be no, no, no. Students will know that answering with a yes will not make any sense, because how can something without a brain think on its own? And I'll show you a paragraph when it comes to writing. Do machines operate all by themselves? No, they need operators to control them and ensure they function correctly, even if they have been automized in some way, or there's a robot doing something. Someone made it first, and then it carried on. Rules in a factory also need management to make sure people follow them. So it's clear that rules and laws without humans cannot do anything. Then how can so-called natural laws without will, power, and sight make cells divide, grow, and perform their function? I'll give you a minute to go over this paragraph again. So this will lead you and the student to realize that natural laws cannot make cells. Likewise, natural laws cannot make a simple phone. Then we move to negating cause. When we are talking about cause, we question the who. Could raw materials and machines in a factory magically coordinate themselves to produce smartphones without the skills and knowledge of the factory workers? Someone was there, someone did some studies and did some research that we need this material to work best, we need this material for the batteries, we need this material for the front case of the phone, and so on. There are so many details inside this phone, chips, wires, electronics, and all of that. So a human must have contributed to making this phone. Then, do you think the protein production process within a cell can happen by itself? So here, if you notice, first we ask, is the cell phone or is the analogy making its own? The answer is no. Similarly, cells, stars, sun, anything, is it making its own self? No. This is where we question the who for the observed phenomena. So one time we ask about the analogy. The second time we asked for the observed phenomena. In this case, we have cells. We also ask about or question the mind and intention. It can be for the analogy or for the observed or the actual phenomenon. Can material causes like DNA, RNA, and proteins work together to produce life, even though they don't have minds or intentions? Yes, they are made by God. Everything is made by God, but do they themselves have the mind, have the ability to make that? Again, the answer is no, and this is known implicitly as the student starts to question the topic you are presenting. Then we negate chance. We question the phenomenon's apparent ability, in this case cells. Is it something that happened randomly, or could there be a design? How do you think cells have the remarkable property of being able to grow, divide, and perform such complex tasks? So in blue, red, and yellow or orange, these are the guidelines for you to think about when starting to write the text in black and blue over there. So these are like the guidelines for you on how to structure a paragraph, taking into consideration those headlines you see. Furthermore, we negate chance by questioning the analogy's occurrence. So we try to, one time we question the actual phenomena, the observed phenomenon. Second time, we observe the analogy just to keep them linked together throughout the document or throughout the lesson. What was it that wind that operated the machines, assembled the products? We can ask the same thing for cells. Did the wind make cells? Did it blow materials together for cell phones? No. If we put compartments of the phone in a given room and we leave it there for 10 years, we come back 10 years later, will something happen? Will something change? No. It stays the same. So this tells you that there must be someone behind all of this. This is why we call this dimension, the question or the critical thinking, exploring the maker of the phenomenon, of the real thing. And we also can question the specificity. Is it by chance that humans have animal cells, not plant cells, for example? What if we had plant cells instead of animal cells? We look green, maybe. So these are the kind of questions you will write in the critical dimension aspect. Then we'll move to the connect or to the meditative thinking dimension. This takes a little bit of contemplation for you to reflect on the actual property. So here, first you'll discuss the interconnectedness. How is it connected to everything? And this is an example of what you will be writing, the intricacy of each cell, the systematic coordination in its internal operations, and its interconnectedness with every other component of the cosmos. These characteristics are beyond our human comprehension, let alone our capability to create. So this is how a cell is introduced as something that is connected to the entire universe. Then we'll go to the small part of the observed phenomena, which we call the micro level. This is encouraged to be the second paragraph when you are writing in the connect dimension. You will say something like, within each cell, organelles work together to perform tasks. They are also interconnected with our cells, tissues, and organs, collaborating to ensure the proper functioning of the body. So here you are discussing on a micro level, on a small level, how those cells cooperate within them. Then we go to the macro level, and we think of the bigger picture. Now we discussed small aspect. How about the bigger picture of that? On a bigger scale, they are connected to the sun and receive energy through photosynthesis. Cells also need air to breathe, designed to take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. They use water and nutrients to grow and stay healthy. Notice we are saying they are designed to take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, meaning that they were made that way. They don't know how to take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. They don't have mind. So this is how they were designed by the designer. And we also use the word use. They use water and nutrients to grow and stay healthy, because sometimes in some books we can see that water and nutrients keep our bodies healthy, as if they know, as if they care about us, which is not the case. This is where we try to be mindful of the words we are using. So no secular ideas become embedded without you realizing that. Here we relate what we mentioned to divine creation. We say each cell isn't merely an isolated unit. It's part of an intricate network spanning the cosmos, a reflection of a grand design woven into the fabric of existence. Here, of course, we can see your creativity in writing and to keep on connecting this phenomena. To create even a single cell, one would need an understanding of the cosmos and its power to manipulate it. So this shows you that to make a single cell, you need to keep in mind that you need a lot of energy, a lot of will, a lot of knowledge to make that single cell, and something that humans will never be able to make it. Here we reflect the divine names in the same dimension. How? This is the way we do it. With their intricate functionalities, cells are evidence of Allah's role as Al-Khaliq, the creator, who designed them with purpose. The divine names of Al-Alim, the all-knowing, and Al-Hakim, the all-wise, signify Allah's profound knowledge and wisdom shown in the complexities of the cells. So the idea here is to list in at least 3 divine names and show how those divine names are reflected in the topic you are talking about. So Al-Alim is something that can be applied to almost every topic. He knows, he has the ultimate knowledge to make a cell. How about Al-Muhsi? It would be a good example, because how many cells are there in one human? Multiply that by all the humans and living beings, including plants and animals. So Al-Muhsi would be a good example. Anyone can think of another divine name. There's no wrong answer. I just want to hear your voice. Al-Musawwir. Yes, Al-Musawwir. What else? Al-Khaliq. Yes. What else? Al-Bari. Yes. So it's easy to think of divine names, but the challenging part is how to connect it with the topic we are discussing and how to convey it to the selected age group. We come to the last dimension, which is the appreciate or the moral thinking. In this dimension, we focus on building the character of students, a dimension that is not currently present in science books. So in this dimension, how to write something in this dimension? First of all, you will need to think about the benefits of the topic you are talking about, the actual topic, the observed phenomenon. What do you think would happen without cells? Our bodies wouldn't work as they should, and we wouldn't be able to do all the fun things we like. So we need our cells to stay healthy and strong. So the first question you will think of is, what if this topic that you are discussing did not exist? What if there were no stars? We'll not have sun, there will be no humanity, we'll not be alive. What if there was no water? So this is a way of starting your appreciate or moral thinking dimension. Next, you'll talk about the purpose and gift of this topic as a gift. You will think about your skin. If we're talking about cells, if you got the slightest injury on your face, would you like it to stay there forever? No, no one would like that. You would surely prefer to have a healed skin. Did it cross your mind that cells are designed to repair your wounds and give you beautiful skin? So again, we are using the word designed to, meaning that they are not doing this on their own. They are designed in that way. They have been given the ability to do this. So you can see the link between benefits, and we ask, what if there were no cells? And then we reflect on the topic itself and say how it is, what's the purpose of it? How is it serving you? If cells were not designed to repair themselves, we will have scars and they will never go away. So this is one way to construct your appreciate dimensions or the moral thinking. Now that we have talked about the benefits, pondered upon the question what would happen if the phenomenon did not exist, and after discussing the purpose of it and what kind of things it is designed to give you, we talk about fikr, dhikr, and shukr. First of all, fikr, we need to think about something, reflect upon it, and contemplate. Then, after fikr, we will start dhikr, remembering Allah, remembering the divine names, remembering His ultimate power, ultimate mercy in giving us this phenomenon or whatever topic you're talking about. So by reflecting on the what-if scenarios, we realize how vital each cell's designed function is to our health and existence. And this awareness should inspire us to express our appreciation through dhikr, fikr, and shukr. Then you would say dhikr is remembering Allah, fikr is reflecting or contemplating on this gift, and shukr is showing gratitude to Allah, to God, for giving us this beautiful gift. This in black, those are the things you will be writing as part of your assignment and as part of constructing this moral thinking aspect. After that comes the moral lessons we learn from cells. We learn from cells teamwork. Each cell has different parts. Each cell has different organelles. And we know how these organelles work together in order to keep the cell functioning, to keep us as humans functioning. We also, from the cells, we learn that they are unique in terms of size, shape, structure. It is something that is not easily made, can never be made by humans. And also the resilience of the cells. This is one lesson we can learn, that we have to be resilient just as our cells are designed to be resilient. Any other moral lessons you can think of? What can we learn from cells? From all the processes that they do, from all the things that they are designed to do. Any moral lesson? Cooperation, exactly. Yes. Any other moral lesson we learn from cells? Give and take. Yes, yes. Give and take, something like communication. It's beautiful if you think about it. How does the cell or how does this organelle communicate with the other one? We have the mitochondria and the Golgi apparatus. How do they communicate? So this again shows you the amazingness of this kind of observed phenomenon. Number 5, in the appreciate step, after discussing all of this, after the benefits, the purpose, the wonderful gift, fikr, dhikr, shukr, after having the moral lessons, one crucial aspect of this dimension is to connect it with Quran. And we know that Quran has a lot of verses that are relevant to any topic you will be talking about. So here is an example. The verse we selected to be relevant to this topic is the one you see from Surah Yasin. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقَهُ قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. We put a line in the beginning from this verse. We understand that bones made of cells cannot make themselves again after being crushed. It is only Allah who can do that. So you have to put an introductory line or sentence. Then you would put the verse in Arabic, followed by the translation in English. After Quran, if it's possible, you would relate the topic with hadith. This is the hadith we selected, and it's preferable to put the resource or the source you got the hadith from. So in this hadith, we chose the one you see, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِ كَالْبُنْيَانِ يَشُدُّ بَعْضُهُ بَعْضًا. You can see the translation on the slide here. So here is the chance, the teacher's chance to explain, opportunity to explain to their audience how cell, all the way from the explore dimension, we come to this part. Where is it mentioned in hadith and sunnah and Quran? How is it relevant to us after discussing all of the previous dimensions? So in essence, using the 5D model, we have 5 basic pillars. We explore the topic in simple words, or we do the analytical thinking. This is easy. This is found in science textbooks. The only thing you will have to change when getting information about the topic you are talking about, you have to be mindful of the language, put the word designed to, through them, and things like that. Then after exploring the topic and understanding it fully, you will need to compare it to see the pros and cons of the analogy, to see the shortcomings. This will reflect upon the wonderful work that has been done to make the actual phenomenon, the cells or any other actual or real thing made by God. After comparing, you would start to question. Why question after comparing? Because after the analogy, you have 2 things to talk about: the actual phenomenon and the man-made. So it's only after observing those 2 that you can start questioning both. You will question the man-made. You will say, okay, who made it? Humans made it. It took them a lot of time, effort, resources, knowledge, experience, communication, teamwork, and all of that to make a single thing, to make this plastic bottle. Likewise, after having those questions for the man-made thing, the student or we as humans will start to think, okay, who made the actual phenomenon? Who made it? If something as simple as the phone was made in a factory by humans, then someone must have made the cells with unlimited power. After this part, after negating these questions, we finish the question part, we go to the connect. And connect, you try to connect the topic you are talking about to the entire universe. You connect it to yourself. For example, cells are inside us, but if we're talking about clouds, for example, they are not inside us, but we are connected to clouds, to the atmosphere and all of that. Then you would think about the micro level. You will look at the topic from a bottom-up approach. What made this? How is it made? And how is it connected internally? Then you will look at the bigger picture or the macro level, how these small things are affected by everything else. Then we move to the appreciate or the moral thinking dimension, which the ultimate aim is to build the character of the reader, build the character of the student. First, we ask, what would happen if this was not available? Then we would consider the purpose and the benefits of these gifts. After that, we will be talking about fikr, dhikr, and shukr, followed by moral lessons, and finally, we will connect this with Quran and Hadith. So you see how every aspect or every dimension is building on the previous dimensions to try to give the student with a full picture about the topic with such kind of ideology or with such kind of Islamic thoughts. Yes, exactly. So with this, I conclude this talk about the cells. I hope you found it beneficial. I hope some of the remarks helped you in terms of knowing what to write regardless of the topic. So maybe we can take questions now?
Now we can edit our presentations. Yeah, we only reload like that.
We needed you 2 days ago.
Well, yeah.
Okay, any questions? Anything you want to clarify?
Yes.
Yeah?
Very clear, right? Very clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Now what is required? It's not clear for everyone. And everyone is saying this, but literally this should have been done a couple of days ago. And more time should be given for this engagement. Because I think really, if you look at what is your purpose in this training, this is your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That the teachers that are here can actually learn from this and be able to do it and be comfortable with it, because you're training the trainers.
Yes.
Right? So training the trainers requires time. This was great. The only thing that we all say here is more time on this development is to be spent in this training.
Okay, inshallah, I agree with you. If you remember one of the first presentations Dr. Najati did, he actually showed samples from our workbook, and he was going through it and laying the foundation for this understanding, really, because one of the key points we've tried to explain from the first few days is the importance of analogies, right? The importance of negating nature, cause, and chance. We've been talking about it since day one, the importance of knowledge, will, and power. So what it is that we have to build those foundational concepts in order for this clarity to be there. If we start off with this, you'll be asking why, what about this, why is this here? You will not get it, right? So this is actually the concluding point. It's like, you know how when you're cooking, all right? So when you're cooking, if someone tries to taste the food, when you are, just sauteing your onions without having put any salt in or anything, what would be the taste of that food, right? You put the chicken in, the onions in, and you've not put any salt or pepper. What's it going to taste like? They're going to say, what is this, right? So like a recipe has stages, has different aspects, components, each part takes time. I don't know what you guys cook, but I cook curries, right? You got to like stand there and stir it like this, and there's a procedure. It's not simply putting it in the oven, right? So now at every step, there's a particular purpose to that step. If I skip a step, it's not going to taste the same. If someone tries to eat it before it's finished, it's not going to taste the same. And right at the end, what do? I garnish it, right? So the appreciate step and the connect with Quran and Hadith is coming at the end. So this is why we take our time to build the foundation with you guys, okay?
Well, we appreciate that. I agree. But you also need time to sit on the table and eat that food.
Inshallah, we can come.
Right?
We can stay for Sunday, Monday as well.
No, I'm just trying to say that, no, I understand, like, without, like, there's obviously timing is, people have limited time, right? So I think by rearranging some stuff, I think you could still achieve the same goal. Do you agree with me, guys? I mean, I would like people to speak up. I don't want to be the only person speaking here. So please, I mean, I think this is an opportunity. They're looking for feedback. And, I say things at face value. So
We'll send out a feedback form, and you can, from the schedule, cut out what you think that topic that was not necessary. Maybe we can do that. Maybe you can just
Everything was necessary, but maybe if we could practice after each concept. Now we took the 5D, the practice all of it now. What if we took the causation, the cause, and the nature, and so on? We practice on this, and then we move on.
We practiced on the first day. Remember when I did the secularism and textbooks?
Like this practice.
First day I introduced some things to you, right? And I asked you to, then I gave you an activity sheet as well, right? So yeah, maybe we can put more practice in. Inshallah, we can do that. Fine, and inshallah we'll do that. We'll give you the feedback.
And some brothers actually already suggested to be given a time just for free discussion among yourselves, rather than including professors and assistants. Only among yourselves, you guys can discuss how all these concepts and things can be applied in your countries and based in your own schools. Because everyone's dynamic is actually different than each other, right? So that's why today we just removed Eyüp Sultan Mosque visiting. Sorry for that. And then we put a discussion session for only discussants. I mean, among discussants themselves. So inshallah tomorrow, I think tomorrow or this evening, no, just after that, right? We are gonna also put professors' opinions based on what you guys discussed. I think it will be more kind of tangible to see at the end. What you guys understood and kind of contributing your understandings and maybe kind of applicable options. I don't know, but this is up to you.
Later on today.
Yeah, later on today.
Inshallah. Okay, so now the slot we have.
I just have a question. In the appreciate part, we have the benefits and purpose. I think we might get the same questions, the same answers from students when we ask about the benefits. What are the benefits? For example, we're talking about the cell. It has the respiration, it takes the oxygen inside our organs and so on. And the purpose, we might get the same answers.
Yes, these are just ideas or guidelines. You don't have to stick to them strictly. Okay. If you can replace the word purpose, what would you replace it with? By benefits, or maybe I should change it to what if questions. Mm-hmm. What if this phenomenon did not exist? And then we would give the second one purpose or benefit and have them together, because we're not really explaining or expanding on the benefits in the first one. We're just having the what if questions. We just don't want to make things confusing. So now I can change it to what if questions, which are mentioned there. By reflecting on the what if scenarios, then we can do the dhikr and shukr.
Then both benefit and purpose.
Yes.
We're questioning.
Yes.
What is the benefit? What is the purpose?
Yes. We could. Yes. What is the benefit and purpose together? And what if? Keep it as
it's
just questioning. Yeah. Just to start the dimension. To make the students think, okay, what would happen if this was not here? What if there's some examples we say, what if our legs was here, not down there, how would we work? That's something that is like that.
Make them think.
Yes.
Make them think. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
Question about the stage of compare and connect.
Yes.
How to stick on the way we don't interfere each other between compare and connect.
Compare and connect.
How's the tips for that? Because sometimes we compare, but we jump into connect actually.
Yeah. So in compare, I do have the tips. Should I put it aside or keep it for later?
Never do it.
Okay, yeah. Maybe this would be an option. So in compare, we try to do this. First, analogy. We're supposed to show you this later, but you can see it now. Then you would compare and contrast between the real thing and the analogy. And after that, you will do the pros and cons to show the limitations of the human-made invention. After that, you will use just one line to use the analogy to help students discover the divine power behind all of this. We will know the limitations, and this will directly lead us to realize and recognize divine power without explicitly talking about it in this step. So this is for the compare. These are the 4 things we do, mainly 3, in addition to the 4th point. Now, if we talk about the connect is a little bit different because we are not comparing, contrasting. There is no pros and cons. We are not talking about an analogy. In this aspect, in this dimension, we don't mention the analogy at all. We just talk about the actual phenomena. So this is one major difference between compare and connect. And also another difference, there is no pros and cons here. There's no advantages and disadvantages in this dimension. We just show how it is connected between each other and to the universe. So on a small scale and a big scale as well. And we also introduce divine names. So those are the key differences between the compare and the connect.
Could we get these slides? Could we get these slides?
We're going to do this later in the afternoon. This is called the checklist. After you've done your presentations and we're giving you feedback, then we'll give you a summary. It's a summary to give you the an outline again. You know how when you teach students, you introduce a topic and then you do an activity, you get them to do something, and then you go back and reinforce it, and at the end of the topic you give the conclusion and summary. But this is what we're trying to do, is to give you things in the same way that you would give to a student. You can't dump everything in one go, right?
Sister Uzma, can I suggest that we move our presentations to the afternoon? Is that okay with the brothers?
Some people want to do the slot. We have 2 slots. So if anyone wants to do it now, they can do it now. Otherwise, we can go and do this checklist, or we can do another topic, weather, which she has prepared. Yesterday, it was suggested some people wanted to do it, so I changed it. Is there any group who wants to do it right now?
I don't think we do. I think this is really helpful. We want to go back and...
Okay, what I want to do then, Aisha, could you do weather?
We can do weather. Are you sure you want weather, not the checklist?
I think if you do weather and then checklist, we have until 12 o'clock.
Okay, all right.
We'll do the weather first. And then, did you like this topic, Sam?
Yes, that was very clear.
Even more,
very clear.
Right? You're going to enjoy weather, then you see the checklist.
Okay, we can do that.
Brother wants to say something. Yeah.
Okay. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Shamsuddin Turkan. I'm a science teacher, physics teacher. Worked at Ministry of Education for 25 years and author of 10 science books from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th grade level. Our textbooks were textbooks in all over the Turkey available for 5 years, long time ago actually. I've been involved with the Science and Cultural Foundation for almost 30 years with Dr. Necati and also Torrent Corner Assessor. We've known each other for a long time. Well, it has been a wonderful program actually, that one. This program is needed not only for Muslims but for all mankind, for humanity, needed as we are agreed. But you see, we are on a long way, long journey. We are at the beginning. That skeleton is very wonderful. I mean, work it has been done, but it needs some education materials too. For the, kindergarten level up to 12th grade, especially for the young generation, we need to produce some education material which can support this idea. It's a very important issue. If a teacher at second grade or first grade, primary school level, talking about that issue in the classroom, maybe he is better or she's better to take one plastic apple and one real apple put on the table. A plastic flower and real flower on the table. And to show the kids by eyes. Because small kids need to see something. Materialism, I mean, very easily to touch, to see. But this kind of, side education materials will help for this project to be successful, very important. That's why I think it's a long journey to be done in the future, but let's keep it in mind to have this kind of course, books are coming, but beside that, there should be some educational materials too. Yes.
Library of resources.
Yeah, I just want to add up to your brother's comment. I was looking for videos, and like every video I look, it's secular. So, especially because I'm looking about universe and sun and weather, and the sun shines, the stars dies. So it's very, very important, even as a video, educational videos, to teach the kids. It doesn't matter from which grade, actually. That's a very big need now. Especially videos, it's easy and it's engaging for the kids. And I had difficult time. I had a video, I used it because I couldn't find a video that is not secular. It doesn't have secular idea. But I said, I mentioned that this has secular idea. Maybe I was even want to ask the audience a question. Should I point the secular idea in that video, or just let it go for now for our lessons for grade 1? So should I mention it to them or just leave it for now? It's very critical way of teaching, actually.
Actually, there is an organization in Istanbul called Feyyaz Foundation Association. They produce this kind of videos. They have produced many videos, short, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 6 minutes videos about Tawheed, about Nubuwwat, about hereafter, about destiny, etc. It could be nice if we had enough time to visit them. In Büyükçekmece, they have 6 big floors, all working on internet and social media issue. They have 54 websites in 13 languages: English, French, Russian, Arabic, even Spanish, etc. But it's Feyyaz.org. Yes, Tuba can send you the links. It's free. You can download all the videos you can use in the.
Yeah, my thing is we have those ones, but we don't have science, like the science videos, the educational science video. All of them are secular, and embedded in it that we don't hear it. That as an adult, sometimes you don't realize how secular our lessons.
I think it's a clarification. I think that's needed. Do you think for a teacher to be very effective at teaching this model, he or she needs to be a science teacher? Because sometimes when you're teaching the student, they have good grasp of these scientific terms and terminologies and facts and figures. So that's why I'm just asking this question.
The thing is, what we need to look at is in all the different types of educational settings, how are we going to approach it? So this particular one is for a science classroom. It's for science teachers in their science lessons. But as the model progresses, we can have, it can be general, it can be homeschooling, it can be anything. The topics that we have, anyone can take them and mold them to the setting that they want, inshallah. So it's flexible. And what brother just said is this is what we want you to do. Make the resources, figure out, okay, how is it going to be done in the classroom, do it, and then tell us, okay, this works and this doesn't work. And then we make that as part of the model, inshallah. Okay? So...
Can I add something? Can I add to that?
Yeah, sure.
Having the science teacher is the way to do it. Because you need the subject matter expert on this. And as soon as you put someone who's kind of knowing, that's where the trap lies. Because people will challenge, right? Exactly. Like at a higher level. I think we need to be very clear that the purpose of this 5D model is we are still working in the same framework of the school system with the same expertise, okay? Because without the expertise, there's a trap. I demonstrated it, right? If someone is talking on a topic, I know the topic, I can easily argue, right? I can come up with many this, and that's why the subject matter expert must be doing that for this to be successful.
I I know that Professor Najati offers a course on how to write science from the 5D thinking perspective. So it's a whole course for a semester only doing that, and it's usually online and virtual. So you can attend that. Now, being a scientist is important. You have to be a science teacher, or you can develop such kind of material if you are not a science teacher, but you need to have with you a scientist. So he or she can check this information, can validate. So you work like a team. Instead of one has the tool, the know-how to put it in 5D, and the other one has the actual knowledge. They did their degree in a certain field of science. So that can be one way to do it.
Sister, I asked that because of that. He was in engineering, and we went into presenting 5D. There's a lesson about engineering, and he instantly jumped to challenge because that's his field. You know, so that's
yes.
So, Sister Uzma, this is a question for you. From what we've been told, you guys have already developed all this material. Is that true?
We're in the process of developing 7 workbooks from K to 6.
Okay. I really think, again, I haven't looked at that or reviewed it, but I think if we want these things to be successful, we should try and kind of team up and not have to reinvent the wheel. If that work is being done, I think all of us, we should look at how, first obviously we need to evaluate and see how the work is, but if we, once it's determined and this is the way to go, then I think instead of reinventing the wheel, we take that material and then the focus is on how to train our teachers on that material.
Yeah, that's why we've made the workbooks. And they are not textbooks, they are workbooks, so they can be used with any science textbook.
Right. I think that's one of the things is that for this to be successful, and if you want to scale it at a global level, right, reinvention is not the way to go. It's like, let's have teams that are working, that do that job, and they know their stuff, and they're doing it, and then we pick up from that point onwards.
Inshallah, we can discuss this in the afternoon session?
Yeah, okay.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so Aisha, would you please do the topic of weather? So, I think another topic would solidify it more, and then we'll do the checklist.
Okay, so coming to the topic of weather, the slides are a little bit different from what we have previously. For example, for the cells, we had the outcome in this way. We had guidelines, how to design the outcome. In weathers, we don't have that. It's like an application. It's like here we're doing the training in the cells presentation. In weathers, it's just direct application, so that's why you will see a lot of text, not short snippets like that. Okay, so just to make you ready for the many wordy slides. And I will ask you to engage using Slido again, but a different pin code. So the topic of weather. We have the topic of weather for grade 1 and grade 3 and maybe other grades as well. For example, for grade 1, we talked about an aspect of weather, which is snow, for example, something related to weather, depending on the textbook or the requirements of the school. For grade 3, we did something general. We talked about weather in general without selecting any part of it. So, as for the learning outcomes of the weather, it would be something like this. Remember, we have to introduce the students, tell them that we will be using 5D thinking. Students will learn about the weather through the 5-dimensional or 5-step thinking. They will question if nature, chance are the sources of it, the weather. They will discover how it is interconnected with the universe. They will also realize that this is the work of the one who creates and controls the universe. They will learn the divine names reflected in the blessing of weather and appreciate its benefit. So if you can see, this almost covers all of the aspects of the 5 steps approach that we previously discussed. If we move to explore, this is where we put just the scientific knowledge out there. This is why you have to be, or have to work with a scientist just to make sure that what you are reporting is correct and accurate. So in the introduction, the weather is determined by the changes in the air around us. We're telling students what the weather is. It can be warm and sunny today and cool and rainy the next day. Remember, we said in the previous example, we said we talk about features, characteristics of the topic we're talking about, so these are conveyed here. It all depends on the state of the air and very complex systems interacting with each other. There is a link between wind and air pressure because the wind moves from areas of higher pressure to lower pressure. So again,
This is what you will read in a normal textbook in schools. Then you would define some words relevant to the topic, like precipitation. It's a word that describes the water returning to the planet from the atmosphere, where water droplets condense from clouds. So again, here you are giving science in the explore aspect. Some parts of the planet experience extreme weather, such as drought and flooding, hurricanes, and wildfires. If we're talking about energy, for example, I think this was grade 3. I think it was for grade 3. But keep in mind that grade 3 maybe in this part of the world is different from in that part of the world. So it really depends on you. If we were talking about energy, for example, we will talk about energy in general, then we'll say kinetic energy and other kinds of energy. Just putting the word there so the student is familiar with that term. And yeah, we talk about the importance as well. Humans have contributed to their frequency by mindless consumption and the abuse of the planet's resources, like the drought and the flooding. And then after discussing the features, some basic features, characteristics, relevance, importance of the topic, how is it related to us, why it's important to discuss this topic, we'll go to fascinating facts, or you can add something additional. Like in the previous example, I know we had something additional to the relevance and importance. So in fascinating facts, you'll spend some time to look for fascinating facts, not just what is already known. So in this aspect, these are the facts we selected. Precipitation is of 4 types: rain, snow, hail, or sleet. You can move this to relevance or the introduction part. It's flexible in that aspect. Another fascinating fact is tornadoes can be up to 2 miles wide and reach speeds over 300 miles per hour. Here it's good if you have a diagram or some figure representing that, yes. And other facts as well.
The importance, we should be talking about the importance of the weather, right?
Yes, or parts of the weather. So importance here, why are we discussing it as humans? Because sometimes we negatively affect the weather or do some things like mindless consumption that exactly lead to other negative things on the phenomenon we are talking about. So these are not strict headlines or guidelines. It's just to help each other on how to think.
The aim here is to let the student explore the topic.
Yes.
So,
yes. And usually this is the easiest part because you can have it or find the information in science books. And you just need to, you need 2 lines to explain why this is relevant to us, how is weather related to us, and why it is important to us. So the example here, you can definitely improve it. So we can give you this, and after this training, you can take it, work on it, and I'm sure you'll write something better than what's written here. So it's a process where we collaborate to write something, yeah. Now for compare, again, I would like to hear your ideas. What can we compare the weather to? The question is, think of an analogy to the weather or a specific aspect in weather, like rain, snow, etc. Someone said moods. Someone said wind tunnels, rain, shower. I'd like to show you the results. Heating or cooling home. AC, fan, air conditioning, heating. Yeah, very good examples. Climate change. Alright, so we have some ideas here. An analogy to weather. We'll go back to the slides to see what kind of analogy we chose. So the analogy we chose here is air conditioner. It's similar to what you wrote or suggested on Slido. Then we'll talk about a little bit about the air conditioner. So this would be the text you would have. These machines have coolants, which are chemicals that can change between a liquid and gas form. Those are just selected sentences or lines from the actual text to not bombard you with a lot of text on the screen. And after talking about the analogy, which is air conditioner in this case, you will talk about how this analogy was made. Who did air conditioners? So making an air conditioner requires a lot of different things. Firstly, the people making it need to have a lot of knowledge and understanding about how air conditioners work. They also need to know how to use different types of machinery to build the different parts of air conditioner. So what did we do here? First, we selected an analogy, which is air conditioner. Then we talked a little bit about what is an air conditioner, although it may be known, but you have to define it the same way to find weather. Then we talk a little bit about who made this invention, who made this analogy, just to yes.
And what does it take?
Exactly, and what does it take to make this analogy? After those two main ideas, we go to the pros and cons to reach some kind of limitations, or just to see what are the main differences between the two. And this is for Brother Sapto, the main difference between compare and connect, or comparing and displaying the pros and cons. So you would write something like, building an AC is expensive. This is because the materials and machinery used to build ACs are very expensive. Also, the people who work on building the air conditioners need to be paid for their time and effort. So air conditioners are not made free, and we have to buy them. They're not given to us free, unlike weather. This would immediately come to mind. And of course, once the air conditioner is built, it requires electricity to operate it. And of course, we need a technician, someone with knowledge, how to operate this AC after it has been built and made. The weather on Earth changes all the time, and it's amazing to see how it all works together to give us different seasons and the right temperature. Of course, you can expand on this and write about the weather a little bit. For example, weather does not need maintenance by us. AC does. We don't pay to get weather, nice weather and change of seasons. But the AC, you have to pay for it, have it, and you can control its temperature, and it can also be damaged. So this is the main difference that we selected between weather and air conditioner. And of course, you can change the text here, you can develop it, you can expand on it. These are just ideas of what can be written. Then we move to the question. Now that we have explored what weather is, we compared it to AC, we saw what we reflected on what it takes to make an air conditioner, what are its limitations, if, for example, if it's damaged, then someone has to repair it. Now we question. And the question, we can question the analogy, which is air conditioners. For example, is it possible that nature blew those instruments together, or wind did that and an AC came up? And we can also question the weather itself. Is it something that happened randomly? How is it that we have 4 seasons in some countries at least? How all of these components of different weather, rain, drought, storms, all of that, how do they happen? Why do they happen? Is it all again by chance, or is there someone behind it? So here we will develop some questions, questioning nature, questioning cause. Remember in the cause we said we questioned the who did this. In nature we question the natural laws that are without will and power and knowledge to make that. And in chance, we ask if this occurrence of the analogy ACs or the actual thing, the weather, occurred randomly. So together we will write questions. You can write them here. Join Slido, and I'll show you the slide in a minute. So we can develop the questions together.
It's stuck on the order.
I'll change it now. It should have changed on your phone. Changed? Okay. So take your time. I don't think there's a word limit. It's more than 20 words. So you can write some questions, questioning nature, chance, and cause. You can select nature, for example, question nature, or cause. You don't have to do all of them. If you need help with Slido, please let me know. That's a good question, but we said we ask the what ifs in another dimension, not here, not in the question. But okay, still valid. Good.
I remember yesterday we were talking about critical thinking questions. There's quite a big debate on where they should be, how they should be. Critical thinking questions can be anywhere. But in the third step, what kind of critical thinking questions do we need to focus on in order to achieve the objectives of the third step? We need to negate nature, cause, and chance, so the questions should be specifically related to that.
How can chance give us all the necessary conditions to increase, decrease the temperature and different aspects of the weather? Does our AC change the temperature at home by chance? If it changed the temperature on its own, we would call someone to fix it for us. It's just not supposed to do that. Very good question. Nature, how is an AC assembled? How does the temperature change? So, mashallah, I see really good answers, meaning that you are getting the hang of it, how to develop critical questions. Thinking questions.
Could we save the questions as well?
Yeah. I think after this is done, I have a log of the text file, that shows the questions.
Because over here it's...
Oh, you can't see the answers. Feel free to take a photo if you want. Okay. So stop the questions now. We'll go back to the slides. Those were really good questions, very good indicator. Okay, again, in these slides, unlike the slides in the cell, they are not structured in the same way. It's just text taken straight out of the Word document to see how it's really applied without those subtitles or headlines. Okay, let's have a look at the questions and see if they are similar to what you have written. So first question is, can you make heating or cooling technology without years of scientific research and resources? Why not? Human beings have been trying out ways to keep themselves cool in summer and warm in winter since time immemorial. So this shows us that we need experience and time to come up with heating or cooling technology. Second set of questions is, modern ACs and room heaters are indeed a product of thousands of years of accumulated knowledge and research. A team is required to assemble an air conditioner. If you think someone has created an AC, is it reasonable to say that someone also creates changes in the weather? Can you see how we are linking ACs to the weather here? And this is flexible. You can write it in your own way. And so the first point, we highlighted the years of experience. And the second point, we highlighted that it takes a teamwork to come up with an AC. Third set of questions is, how can a random accident, here we are questioning chance, how can a random accident create weather if a random accident cannot create an air conditioner? So it cannot make the human-made thing. So how can it create something that is made by the divine? Who controls the Earth's position with respect to the sun at any given point? And this leads us to remind us of the different seasons that we have. Can material causes control the wind, air, pressure, precipitation, and the Earth's position? Very similar to some of your answers. Do material causes or natural laws possess the knowledge and consciousness to do that? no, we know that that's not possible. You are free to write no or yes, or give the chance for the students to say no verbally, instead of writing it explicitly like we have it here. So as you can see, we are questioning the analogy, the AC. We are saying it takes years of experience, a lot of knowledge. We're also questioning how the weather came into existence. Was it a product of nature, natural laws, and chance, or not? So those are the questions you would have to put in the critical thinking dimension. Who remembers what comes after this dimension? What comes after question? Connect. Connect, yes. And in connect, I also want to hear from you. How can we connect this phenomena of the weather to the entire universe? How can we connect it to us? This is the last Slido exercise, in case you got bored. This is the last one. I will change the question. Those are all answers when I did not change the slides to the analogy or critical thinking. Okay, so how are we connected to this phenomenon, the phenomenon of the weather? How is the weather connected to the entire universe? Think about the layers of the atmosphere, for example. Think about the different countries where they are located on Earth. And each country is in a different place. That country, for example, there's a lot of rain there, and they have different kinds of food as compared to a country in the desert. They have their own thing as well. Okay, how it's related to us, or how it connects to us. Choosing what clothes to put on depends on the weather. Yes, the weather can cause natural disasters. Farming. Weather is connected to plants. Some plants grow in cold weather, others in hot weather. Okay, now think about the micro level. Think about the small compartments that make up the weather. For example, how do we have rain? This is the meditative thinking where we just reflect upon the topic, the weather.
Can you ask the question that you just asked?
The
micro level. Yeah,
the micro level.
Like osmosis and diffusion and
no, not that detailed. No. Do you want to see the example from the cells? So you can ask, or you can think the same way. Put it here. I can pull up the slides.
Maybe the change in the weather itself from sunny to windy to snowy, this is the micro level. And the macro level is the link to the universe or to the planting, we could consider it as a macro level.
Yes. We have here the checklist. How does the weather depend on the sun? How does it depend on the location of the earth? Why do we have weather in the first place? Something in line with that. This is the example from the cell. We talked about the interconnectedness, the micro level, macro level, and divine creation. So See how on the micro level, see how we're talking about within each cell, organelles work together. And how about weather? Weather is a very general term, and we discussed it in general aspect here. So what are the small?
The transpiration of water, and there is the formation of cloud and movement on the place.
Yes, yes. Yes. Okay, so we'll go back to the weather, the next dimension, or meditative thinking. I apologize for putting it all at once. Didn't have time to animate it. So one of the things we discussed here is the weather on our planet is like a well-coordinated team effort between many different elements, just like a sports team. Each player has a specific role to play, and when they all work together, they produce a winning game. The same applies to weather and its relation to the planet. In the same way, the sun, solar system, ocean, atmosphere, gravity, and even the entire cosmos all play important roles in giving us the right temperature. In addition, the sun provides heat, the ocean helps regulate the temperature, the atmosphere keeps harmful rays away, and gravity keeps everything in its place. So you see the kind of interconnectedness that is happening here. And it comes with practice. So don't worry about that.
Just have a comment.
Yeah?
I have one comment about using the terms winning game and right temperature. For example, now during next week they are in Lebanon, they are warning people that the temperature is going to be around 41 and so on. So for the children, this won't be the right temperature. So
yes.
So maybe we can just take the word right, and it's giving us the temperature, whatever temperature it gives.
Exactly. Yes, that's
so
a good.
It's
that's
not
a good
winning
point.
and right. Then it might be perfect for them, and then it's not actually in our
Yeah,
life.
it can cause fires, for example. Yes, good point. Another point that we discussed here is the Earth's tilt and rotation also play a role in the weather by determining the intensity and duration of sunlight that different regions receive. When all of these factors work together, they contribute to the weather we experience every day. So this demonstrates the interconnectedness of the weather with the air, the Earth's position, the sun, the entire cosmos. All living creatures are connected to the weather, indicating that the creator of the entire cosmos is also the creator of the weather, because the weather needs the sun, needs the earth, needs the planets, needs all of that. And so this shows you the interconnectedness, that if he made the weather, then he must be the one who made the sun, planets, and everything else.
Okay, I have a quick question, because yesterday we were actually working on this, and we specifically tried to avoid saying the sun provides heat.
Yes.
So is that okay to say that?
We say the sun is designed to provide heat.
Okay, so not sun provides heat. We should say the sun is designed.
Yes, the sun is designed to provide heat. Or if in a previous sentence you already said through the sun, or the sun is designed to, in the second sentence you don't necessarily have to repeat that again. Okay. So what we have here is a text that I cut from the original document, so I'm not sure what comes before and what comes after. But that's a very good catch. Yes?
Even when we say the sun is designed, is also a bit secular, no?
But who designed it?
But that, so we can't say, so we can say Allah designed the sun to give us, you know,
We
like.
say that, but not, for example, not in the critical thinking dimension. In Connect, we start talking about the maker. In the critical dimension, number 3, which is the question, we just question. We don't give explicit answer as Allah does.
No judgment.
Yeah, in the critical dimension, yes, it's just to explore, just to question, just to negate nature, chance, and cause. And you can say Allah or use God in this dimension. Connect. Here is where we reveal that yes, we are talking about Allah.
Yesterday we were trying to avoid any secular terminology in anything we were doing, right? So that's why.
In another word, you don't need to say Allah, but students should say Allah. Teachers don't need to say Allah, but students will say Allah, Allah in some way like this.
Yes, this is the purpose of the critical dimension.
How about if the topic is about man-made, something man-made? Because your topic cell and just now is about weather is God-made.
Yes.
How about if the topic is electricity, for example?
You do the opposite. For example, once we've written a document on big data. So we're talking about big data, and then we compare big data, which is human-made, to the data that only Allah is aware of. The number of sand grains, the humans, the leaves, and all of that. So you kind of do the opposite. You focus on the topic you're talking about. Introduce, for example, big data. Compare it to something God made, and then in the critical dimension, you would ask questions like, who made big data? What makes big data? The data is just a product of chance, or are there computers? Are there instruments that are generating these data? Then you would ask the same questions about what about big data in terms of humans, in terms of animals, in terms of cells? Who knows all of that? When we will go to the connect, we will show how we are related and connected to big data, especially in these days. And then similarly, how those humans and the big data, or the divine data, is only at the hand of Allah. And here we are showing, we are discussing big data, we are discussing something human-made, but as we are discussing it, we are showing its shortcomings by focusing on shifting the attention to the advantages of something that is human-made. So you can definitely work on something that is not divine-made, but in the analogy, it will have to be made by God.
The interdependency and then also benevolence should be from human-made and God-made.
Yes. So another example is electricity. Did you guys do electricity or not? You have? What's your analogy?
Water hose. Water hose. The water hose.
Okay,
so the flow of water, like how does electricity flow? Water and electricity are the same.
So in light of what Aisha has just said, that if you have a topic where you are talking about something that humans have discovered, like electricity, so the analogy must be something that has been created by Allah for it to be an analogy. Water? Water flow? Okay, inshallah.
Or the current.
We'll see.
I mean, when I used to teach it, I would actually teach my students exactly, because the electricity is such an abstract topic, you can't see it. The flow of water is the closest thing you can come to explain that.
Okay. Okay, inshallah, we'll see. Okay, that's a really good point, Brother Sapta. Well done.
And in the connect dimension, we also reflect upon divine names. We talked about this previously in cells, and now we're doing it again in the weather. This means that there must be, after writing about the interconnectedness and all of that, this will lead you to conclude that there must be the owner of dominion, Al-Malik, who has absolute power, Al-Qadir, over everything. He must have infinite knowledge, Al-Alim, because only the one with infinite knowledge can run everything smoothly, effortlessly, and without a flaw. The change in weather indicates the absolute wisdom of its creator, Al-Khaliq, so he must be extremely wise, Al-Hakim. We have more than 3. You can expand, you can keep it 3. It depends on the age group, it depends on what you really want to convey. Then we move to the appreciate. Again, we have the benefits. The weather on planet Earth is truly amazing. Have you ever stopped to think about all the different things that come together to make it happen? And here you would question, what if we had no weather? And did you know that we're all connected to the weather too? Every living creature depends on it for survival. The purpose or the benefits, it's amazing to think that the weather is not just a random accident, but a product of its creator, wisdom, and design. The changes in the weather show the absolute wisdom of the one who made it all. After discussing the benefits, the what-if scenarios, the purpose of the weather, why do we have weather, then we can move to fikr, dhikr, and shukr. And so reflect, fikr, how beautifully Allah changes the weather. Remember Him and be grateful for such a gift that you didn't even ask for, and it's for free, unlike the ACs. And for moral lessons, just like the weather is connected to the air, the Earth's position, the sun, and the entire cosmos, we are connected to each other, and our actions can impact those around us. Same can apply to the weather when one of the sisters here mentioned pollution. By our actions, we can cause that. And finally, we must remember that extreme heat, cold, and rain can damage the planet. In the same way, we should not have any extreme behavior that might hurt others, just as holiday makes us frustrated. So here we are trying to take moral lessons from the concept of weather. It is not limited to that. If you have other ideas, of course, they can be integrated with what's been written here.
I think this example, the last line, that extreme behavior might hurt others. We know that in the children, the controlling anger and being frustrated and all of these things are a big problem, right? And a lot of the time it's the environment that is created that leads to the behavioral problems. So imagine discussing this in a classroom. Imagine after doing the topic of weather, discussing that, if it's too hot, if it's too cold, you're uncomfortable, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel upset, right? Then you might upset others, okay? So if somebody around you is misbehaving, how should you behave? How should you regulate your behavior, even though someone around you is misbehaving, being rude, being arrogant, hurting you, upsetting you? So do you see how the tarbiyah can really be explored? I mean, we're just giving you one-liners here. It's up to you to think about how to integrate it and how to use this. Maybe in when we talk about thematic learning, we could do it across the board with Islamic studies, with English, with anything where this could be something that is discussed.
And finally, the appreciate step. What do we do after talking about the benefits, purpose, fikr, dhikr, moral lessons? We try to connect the Quran. Exactly, we try to connect the Quran. And so to connect it with Quran, we selected this verse from Surah Al-Baqarah. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار والفلك التي تجري في البحر بما ينفع الناس وما أنزل الله من السماء من ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وبث فيها من كل دابة وتصريف الرياح والسحاب المسخر بين السماء والأرض لآيات لقوم يعقلون. You can see the translation in English, and from this you can further discuss how this verse from the Quran connects with the topic you are talking about. And one thing to mention here is each topic is different from the other. The more general, the more it's challenging for me personally. I don't know about you. But for example, if we selected snow as an example of weather, then it would be relatively easier to talk about the interconnectedness, the analogy, yes.
It's about the snow?
Yes.
Men are able to produce artificial snow. How you explain to kids that,
yes.
Allah creates snow,
yes.
natural snow, the weather we don't interfere on, but human being is capable to put snow where there's no snow. We see that in ski stations, for
yes.
example, or in Dubai they are really
exactly.
big, closed ski station. So how we explain that to kids?
I can handle.
Yeah, feel free.
The snowflakes is different from each other. Allah is creating snow. Each one is different, is unique. So we can simply show an example of the snow given and the example of the snow made by the humans that however they made it.
I never seen that. So
yeah.
Will they be unique also? Or
they are really unique scientifically.
The one produced.
The snow that is provided in the machine is thicker, it's dense, it's not
different characteristics.
And even this needs a machine to be
yes,
This needs material, so the difference between the khaliq and the
but
sana.
for kids, they can.
Yeah, it's very nice to introduce them.
Yes, they can.
An artificial snow, where did it come from?
It's the snow is the connection.
As
It's the
a
only
creation.
thing we can produce. We cannot produce bread.
Yes.
We cannot.
But we need tools. We need tools to
Yes.
produce it. We're not
But it's a
producing
good
it from
topic for
Adam.
kids
From
to
nothing.
understand.
So we've done the topic of snow, and it's basically there is combining the air pressure with water pressure to make artificial snow. But obviously, what we see around us, the real snow, is made under the same conditions, but it's different. It has the uniqueness. Why? Because it's made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Whereas human beings, when they make it, there is a deficiency within that.
The question can occur.
They will not understand the concept.
At school, can ask you.
They ask you and you say, okay, so it's a machine. You need the electricity, you need the worker, you need the knowledge. Because artificial snow is something made recently, it wasn't made 200 years ago. So knowledge, human beings accumulated knowledge, and then they discovered how to make it. But they still can't make it like the real snow.
Comes through the machine and that comes through the
Through
sky.
through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's miracle.
Okay, so my idea is in question. What if we put this ayat in the front, in the beginning, in the introduction? So we know that this is the ayah, and then we will explore about it, and then we will connect, we will comment, or we will think deep about it. So this ayah come first.
So what I would say to you is, you know how when you give dawah to someone, right? Say someone is not living by Islam, and you want to make them come to Islam, right? You want them to live by Islam. But there is something in their mind that is preventing them. And what is preventing them is a secular thought. So first you have to break that secular thought. Once you have broken it, then they're ready to even listen to you. Sometimes people are not even ready to listen. They say, why does Allah do this? Why does Allah do that? They start to question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to take the Quranic verse or hadith or take that Islamization approach doesn't achieve the result we want to achieve. You have to break the incorrect concept to build the correct concept. This is the Quranic methodology. This is the prophetic methodology as well. Yesterday we talked about pedagogy. So I have actually done a presentation, I have one on that, of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's method. And he used to negate the incorrect concept and then alongside it give the correct concept. Quran has the same method. All the surahs revealed in Makkah are talking about what is going on in society. Talking about, why do you bury your daughters alive? Okay, why do you give daughters to Allah? And they're all critical questions as well, if you think about it. About the people who hoard the wealth. All of these questions the Quran asks, right? To negate the incorrect thought. And then alongside it, then Allah talks about Himself, about how He is the creator. And He asks, can you create this? So this method of 5D, we've taken it from the Quranic methodology and from the prophetic pedagogy.
Okay, my thought is because we are in the classroom setting, in the beginning and at the end. So I can imagine if we put this at the end of the lesson, they are waiting for the bell ring, like this. So we don't have time to emphasis on this. So we put it in the beginning and then we explore, and later come back again, but it is in the real activity, in the dunyawi setting. Yeah, dunyawi setting means that Al-Quran relates with the dunya, like that. So what do you think about it?
If we were living in an ideal situation where we're just teaching the deen and building upon what's already established, it would be good. It'd be great. And even maybe after some time, that approach is fine. But initially, to start off, to remove the secular ideology, you have to get them to think about the actual phenomena, and you have to put aside what they think is religious indoctrination, or this is being forced down our throats, or what's this got to do with a science lesson? We don't want those questions. We don't want that distraction. So this is
Islamic school, like us.
Even in Islamic schools are secular. I'm sorry to say.
I was just going to add to that. I understand what you're saying, brother, but I think if you've got an integrated thematic, inshallah, curriculum, then what you're doing, you're weaving these concepts throughout the year, throughout the day, and our reference point is the Quran. So the methodology is that children wouldn't be able to underpin their knowledge without saying, I've got a dalil for it. There's evidence from the Quran. This is where it says there's a hadith for this, so that then it solidifies what their belief. So ultimately, even though you might think, okay, it's at the end and maybe look like an add-on, if you're actually weaving it throughout the theme and throughout the week, then this becomes, and if you've got halaqat going on as well, this becomes actually quite central to it, and it happens over time. Maybe the first lesson is going to be difficult to do, but it will happen, inshallah.
No, I was thinking, like even like how to lesson plan. Our project is on grade 1, but I was thinking if I'm going to teach grade 6 or 7, which has lots of heavy scientific material, I was thinking I could like start with the first to explore and compare, and start with a few questions, and the next lesson we're going to review. That, like, I thought that's a very good way to stop and resume your lesson, because it can't be in one 45 minutes class, because you need to take the time at the end, as Brother Sabato said, to reflect on the hadith and the Quran and the names of Allah. So you need to have the time to do that in one class for higher grade. It will be like so packed, and it's not beneficial. You need to have the discussion and the question Q&A with the students. So I was thinking to divide it into at least 2 lessons.
I said yesterday, you might even take 1 week. You might take 4 or 5 lessons. For younger grades, you might take 2 weeks. Yeah? Sister Fawzia is an expert in this, so you can get her advice, inshallah.
At least 3 days.
But there's no rush. It's not like a tick box. We're building shakhsiyah, and that takes time. And maybe 5 children will get it straight away. Maybe another 5 children who don't get it. So, it's not a linear thing. You're building the shakhsiyah of somebody. You're imprinting on their heart and their mind. So it's going to take time, and we just have to persevere. We can't say, right, I did the checklist. It's not like teaching anything else. No, it's not.
But the end goal is not an Islamic studies class. It's just a realization, isn't it? So I think.
So what I recommend.
That's why I think it's a mentality. You need to change the mentality, how we look at science and be critical, really, in thinking and looking at science. That's why I said earlier that when I looked at the scientific videos to find about weather, I could see more now in depth. I could see it before, but now even more how secular the ideas that.
Yeah. So my recommendation on this, what Sister Mona has just said, is that when you do the 5D method, you bring it in. You talk about the appreciate step. You bring in everything relevant. But to explore it in depth, you shift it to the Islamic studies lesson, or you shift it in another part like halakha or something like that. Yeah, to explore it in depth for the integration. So this is how you have to look at your own timetable, your own academic calendar, and see how you're going to do that. Okay, that's something for individual.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is very good. So this is very good discussion on that. I think I understand Brother Sabtu's concern, as if you put the ayah and hadith and then it's like that is you rush and you don't really pay that much attention. But I think the way we design this is what we're talking is a delivery or providing or serving the food. So the key part here is how we're going to serve. What is the efficient way to do that? That I think can be modified, customized as you implement. So, but the purpose here is not to put it at the back. It's a stage by stage. So in the model that because this is a science subject, if we start an ayah and hadith, we think it's like an imposing answer on them. So therefore, we want to really start to have them to conclude with the answer and connect with the ayah and hadith. So in a way that we don't want them to feel as if we're imposing on them, because we mentioned yesterday, Iman is all matter of free will. If they don't want, we can't make them to accept that. So we feel that particularly in a science subject, if you start with ayah and hadith, in a way they might, given their current education, feel they are being imposed something on them. So therefore we want to take them from the first steps, and once they reach to the 5th steps, then we say now is the time, let's connect to the ayah and hadith as well. But in current model that we recommend, basically we prepare the plan is like have 14 topics for the whole year. That basically it means you cover each topic in at least 2 weeks. which means this is not like a one day, one session thing. So you need to put it, in, maybe 1 week you go with a 2-dimension, other one, another 2-dimension. So, but this is type of thing that's really, eventually we're very open to the feedback. We have to go based on the data. We're going to go those who implement, we do the survey, we'll ask them, we'll find the best practices, we'll share with each other, and we'll learn through that. But the essential part is to really hear what we want to get it right. Do you find some delicious food out there you think is gonna really help people to, feed their mind, their heart, to train their nafs and their ego? So in a way, remember when we talk about kalimatun tayyibatun, kalimatun khabisatun. So if you find this is among the kalimatun tayyibatun, that this is a food that can really feed them, now the delivery part, we can work on that one. So that's really the whole purpose behind the whole this training part, to really share with you what we have, to see whether you agree this is really a very nutritious, a very delicious food that could be shared with students. How we're going to do that? I think we're going to learn a lot from you.
I would also actually say, depending on the grade level, like the higher the grades, I would actually open this up for the students. The students might come up with an ayah or a link that is even better than the one I come up with.
How do you know? An assignment. You could set it as a task. I mean, I was just going to add to what Dr. Najati said, is that's the dessert. If that's the dessert, the meal, wouldn't we want them to look forward to the dessert? How are we telling them that there's an amazing dessert at the end of the meal?
Or let them discover it and come up with it.
So that's just how it is.
I think the issue is about insert the Islamic teaching, like from ayat, from hadith, from sirah, from daily hikmah, like that, and the integration. Which one is we put more emphasis on, insert or integrated? Because if you talk about integrated, you have done from the beginning, right? The integration, and then now insert Islamic teaching in our, because the students.
Do you see it as an insert or do you see it as a link?
Because the students will ask. This is a physics teacher who come to the class, and then bring about the Islamic teaching, and then they will ask, is it a Islamic teaching class or physics class? Like that.
But I think if you remember, really, we try to name our model to say we are not inserting, we are extracting. Because our idea here is that it's already there. The ayah is there. It's in a flower, it's in a bird, in the stars. The ayah is already written, inscribed in them. So we just try to find a way to read the existing ayah, extract. But once we get that extraction of the meaning, then we compare with, we show how it overlaps with the ayah in Quran. That's what we bring, the inclusion of the Quran and Hadith at the end, basically to tell them, look, those two books is giving the same message. So that's really the model. So therefore, I think that one of the uniqueness of our model compared to the other model is basically we're not really adding, we are extracting. We're not saying that let's bring ayah and hadith and teach them and then have them to read the others to see how the others, in line with ayah and hadith. We just do the opposite. We say, this is a science class, we understand. Give us any science subject you want. Let's try to think deeply through that and extract the things that the secular ideology will never tell you about it. And then therefore we say it's basically this is the science of Allah, as the Quran mentioned. This is an ayah. So we are basically trying to extract this hidden ayah in the universe, and then we compare with the Quranic ayah. That's really the methodology.
I think this point is very, very, very useful in terms of dawah methodology. When you look at the psyche of children today, when you bring anything about Islam, the moment you bring something about Islam, they tune off. Their attention goes off. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want what you have planned to go to waste. Because once the child shuts down, a child's mind gives you, like 30 seconds, psychology says 30 seconds on the child. 30 seconds to grab his attention. And if you can't grab his attention in 30 seconds, it closes. And so this kind of thing, at the beginning, I think will close, especially for teenagers. Maybe for nursery, primary year, but for teenagers, you started a verse, you've lost that child, especially because of the context we're talking of today and how they see Islam. They don't want to hear anything about Islam.
people are preaching to them in the mosque, they're hearing ayahs in the mosque, they're hearing ayahs with their parents, and so on. So you come again, oh, not another person. You know, so in that context, I think
that's why I think we should, like, we don't, like, even I think Sister Uzma said, you don't have to go to ayah and hadith sometimes. Just by changing the mentality. Maybe if you feel like you have more, like, far away from religious group, you just start by changing the mentality and maybe using one hadith, and even not a hadith, just like the phrase from the hadith or the concept from the ayah. And slowly, like, don't make it like it depends. It's all flexible, but the idea is the mentality, is to go from secular and relying everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you could do that, it depends how circumstances you have in your school or in your environment.
Okay, Jazakallah, I think I would go through the checklist now. That's going to take about 10 minutes, yeah? And then we'll wind up.
Checklist. Okay, so far we've seen two examples, cells and the weather. I want to thank you for taking part in Slido and sharing with us your answers. Now, just as a reference, let's go to the checklist and see if we cover those parts when we were discussing these topics.
You shared this with me. You finished set up good. You shared it with me. You're very good.
Are you applying this in a space somewhere?
No, but we are applying it in topics that are related to astronomy if it's covered within the curriculum of a certain school, if it asks for such kind of topic.
I thought maybe you as a teacher.
No, I'm not a teacher.
Oh, okay.
What's your...
Just a minute, I'll plug in my laptop.
You're not a teacher. She's not a teacher. You're a pretty good teacher, though.
Yes, but I'm a teacher.
You should become a teacher. I don't know.
Can you come work for us?
Thank you.
Can you pay her?
Well, all of this is thanks to Allah and being part of this group since 3 years. I joined the class with Professor Najati and Professor Alp Arsalan, and this is how I came engaged with this beautiful community. We will first recall the different dimensions of the 5D thinking, which we have discussed enough, I think.
Where did you get time to do all this? Where did you get time to fix here? Where did you get time?
Concept in Indonesia. It's our concept this one.
Yeah.
So they have already.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so let's recall together the different dimensions. What is the first dimension? Explore, yes. The second, you can see it on the screen. The second dimension?
Compare,
yes, or the analogical thinking. Third dimension? Question or critical thinking. Fourth? Connect or meditative thinking. Number 5? Moral thinking or appreciate, yes. And what do we do in this dimension? What is the main purpose?
Appreciate.
Appreciate. Why do we need it?
To the Maker.
Yes, connect with Allah. That's in the meditative thinking. But one crucial aspect about the moral thinking, it's for character building. Yes. Can you repeat your question?
So what I'm saying is that, like, the character building is sort of added at the end, right?
Yes, it's integrated within the connect dimension, the moral thinking.
Okay, but do they end up spending some time doing activities that relate to it, or is it just some questions and discussing class homework?
We do have activities for that.
Like, there is some time spent on it?
Yes.
That's my question.
Yes.
Like, more than just a few questions?
Yes. Everything here is... exactly, yes. So, but here we're presenting everything very quickly. So even the ayah, the hadith, and everything else basically. Okay, so for the checklist, we've seen some of it already, and now we'll just go over it quickly.
Yes.
we are familiar with the 5 different dimensions of the 5D thinking model. And following it, in order to start writing your explore or analytical thinking, you need to take into consideration the age group or which grade you are writing for. You also have to be mindful of the language you use. We discussed this earlier. We said we usually use terms like through, design, to make, something uses something, it doesn't know on its own. So this is in terms of language. Also, it is recommended, this is a personal suggestion, to focus on specific feature of what you want to talk about. So if we're talking about cells, for example, you can shift your focus to animal cells or plant cells, because being focused will direct you correctly or easily throughout writing your topic. But then again, it depends on the age level and the grade requirements by the school. And as usual, we end the explore session by adding some fascinating facts. We mentioned that we need to spend some time looking for fascinating facts, not what's already there. Maybe you need to watch a video, and out of that video, you extract a fascinating fact that you can impress the students with. For the compare, we first have to think of an analogy. We have the observed phenomenon, the real one, the actual one. We have to think of man-made analogy like the cells. We talked about the smartphone factory, and for the weather we talked about the ACs. Then we need to compare and contrast between the two to see what it takes to make this man-made analogy. After that, we go to the pros and cons to just discover the limitations of the human-made invention. This will lead us to reflect on the divine power behind the actual phenomenon or the real topic presented. Moving from that, we go to the question dimension or the critical thinking. We first question cause, not necessarily in this order. We question the cause. Does it make sense that, for example, cells made itself from atoms or from nothing? Same applies to the cell phone. Did the cell phone made itself? Then we question nature. Do the phenomenon's properties appear naturally or by design? We discussed natural laws. Natural laws, do they have will, power, and knowledge to make a single thing? Any human-made thing? No. So if nature cannot do that for the human-made invention, then how about the real phenomenon or the actual phenomenon? After that, we ask about the chance. Is it just pure luck that this appeared, that this cell phone appeared? No. Likewise, cells were the result of an accident or a chance. Is the phenomenon a lucky event or a purposefully designed product? So those are the critical questions we need to ask here. We question nature's ability. We question the cause. Sometimes we need to think of the who made this phone. We will realize that it's a lot of people with experience, knowledge, materials, and all of that. We can take those questions and apply it on the actual phenomenon, and then we'll realize that there must be divine power. And here someone asked if we should say Allah or not. It is critical in this critical thinking dimension. We don't reveal yet. We just hint. Those questions lead us to know that there must be someone doing this. There is a divine power without explicitly saying that Allah is doing this. Then we go to the...
let's say one thing, Aisha, to this one. So for the question part, really, because the definition of nature is very ambiguous, it took a lot of time really to grasp how should we question nature, because it's a very ambiguous concept. So essentially, what is the difference between causation and nature? How would you distinguish that for the kids? So essentially what we came up with is basically what they mean by nature is everything physical, everything materialist, which means what they mean by nature, essentially everything made itself. Because when they say nature, it means they do not anything beyond the physical reality that caused the physical reality. Which the simple way to say, when I look at this water, when you say this water is made naturally, so it means it's actually, it's just made by itself, given all this material condition. But when we say the material cause, the emphasis here, the property of hydrogen and oxygen produce water. That's the material causation. So the causation is about that certain cause. The belief is that there are property of that, when they come together, they give the effect. that we negate this in a causation, say hydrogen and oxygen does not have the necessary property to produce water. But when they say nature, we say, what do you mean? Oh, you mean this just happens itself? Do you think the building can just build itself? So that's for, I think that's what's like our understanding of what they mean. Of course, when they say natural laws, again, this is just observe regularity. There's no laws doing anything. Because we question, they would say, does the law have a mind? Does it have a knowledge? Does it have a will? What do you mean? I mean, we know the law. Traffic law doesn't do anything. It's just reaching on a paper. You have to have a law enforcement, and you have to have a human being with understanding of this law basically produce the result. The traffic is not governed by the traffic laws. The traffic laws and abstract rules out there. If there's no law enforcement, there's no human understanding those laws. The laws has no agency to do anything. So that's how we question. So nature both includes the concept of overall nature and also concept of natural laws. So this is really one of the things we have been struggling, how to really break it down and ask a simple question to the level of little kids that they can understand and negate it. And we came to the point that we said, let's leave the causation part after the grade 3, and then for the just initial part, just say, can it make itself, which we mean by nature. And then, or can it just be the result of pure chance? Yeah.
And to add on Dr. Najati, you've seen the example on cells. We had guidelines or subheading saying you question the intention, you question the awareness, and you question the conscious of the secular trio, and that's how you'd realize that it doesn't exist. So it cannot really make anything. From this, we move to the connect or meditative thinking, which we previously visited. In the meditative thinking, we reflect on it by showing how it is connected to everything else. The topic we are talking about, how is it connected to the entire universe? How is it connected to us? How does the weather affect us? And how is the weather's relation to the sun, to the planet, to the air, and to everything else is relevant. Then we move to the indivisibility, unity of the universe, meaning that weather alone does not exist on its own. The concept of weather or parts of the weather like rain, snow, so it's not in isolation. It's connected to everything, and everything is interdependent. Then we talk about the micro level. What are the things that make the weather? What are the things that make the cell? The cell comprises of like the different organelles. This is the micro level, and we're saying how they are designed to work together, communicate together to keep the cell healthy, and so on. After that, we talk about the macro level, how this phenomenon is connected on a broader level. When we were talking about the cell, we talked about the different organelles. Then if we move to the macro level, how is the cell related to other parts of my body? How is it related to the other human? How is it related to humanity in general and the world in essence? So the main idea is to show the interconnectedness and how this interconnectedness points to the unity and points to God. So the creator of this phenomenon, cells or weather, for example, must be the creator of everything else. Those cells, or let's say me as a human, I need water, I need air, I need sun. So is it possible that God created the sun but he did not create me? No, he created both of them. So in this dimension, we show the unity of the divine behind the phenomenon we're discussing. Lastly, we mentioned 3 to 5 divine names. It's up to you. We've seen 2 examples, and you participated with suggested divine names that can be integrated into the topics we discussed. The last step is the appreciate or moral thinking.
Yes. Let me add one thing on that. So basically, in meditative part, the connection part, what the secular science does, the secular science we call reductionism. Reductionism means basically it cuts everything to the pieces, and as if the parts can exist in isolation without the whole. So our argument here that nothing in the universe can exist without the entire support from the whole universe. Therefore, we call our model is a holistic model, which basically means the entire universe is connected to each other. And we have more evidence in quantum physics and entanglement in one of the examples of that. Okay, so in this regard, our argument here is really amazing. When you look at, let's say, there was a theory before the how human being will see with the eyes. The theory before was that in the human eyes there is some things that make you to see. They didn't know it's the light that actually make the eyes to see. But actually, you know, when I read it first, I said it's amazing. Allah could have created the eyes in a way you could just see through the eyes without the light. But why? He made it necessary to have the light from the sun for the eyes to function and have you to be blessed with the seeing. Which basically means that whoever creates the eyes must be the creator of the sun as well, knowing the property of the sun. But then now, the sun is connected to the other stars as well. Oh, that means that basically whoever creates the sun must be the creator of all other stars as well. So you can see the human eyes is connected to the entire universe. Without the whole universe to exist in interconnected manner, the eyes can never function. So that interconnectivity we try to really bring in the meditative thinking. And we have ample evidence of that for almost every subject. And it's really become a great pleasure to see that. The way I see is like those are pieces of puzzles. You connect the dot and you see the divine unity behind everything. You see it's actually an infinite power and infinite knowledge is really behind everything. It's like you connect the piece of the picture of the puzzle, you see a hidden picture behind that. So that's really what we try to do in the connect stage. Yes.
Then we move to the appreciate or moral thinking dimension, which consists of several parts. So first we discuss the benefits of the phenomenon that we have discussed, like the cells or the weather. How is it beneficial for us? How is this gift benefiting you as a human and the entire universe? Second, we ask the what if scenarios. What if we did not have this phenomenon? What if we did not have cells? What if we did not have weather? What if we had plant cells instead of animals, us as humans? What would happen? What would change? Then we would do fikr, dhikr, and shukr, just to stay consistent with what has been mentioned previously. We would do fikr, remembrance or reflection, and then dhikr, to remember Allah, and finally to be thankful, shukr, and to show gratitude for the gift that you have been given. It's the topic that you are discussing. Then we'll talk about moral lessons. Together, you as a teacher and classmates, you can ask what kind of lessons do we learn from the cell. Some of you said cooperation, communication, teamwork. Likewise, this can be applied with the teacher and the student and come up with moral lessons, because again, in moral thinking, we are trying to build a character, and this dimension is not there in science classes. Finally, we integrate also Quranic verse and hadith if something is relevant to the topic we are talking about, just to provide a holistic and a comprehensive aspect of the topic that you are discussing. So with this, we covered the checklist of the 5-dimensional steps. We see what we need to include in the explore, compare, question, connect, and appreciate. Yes. With this, we end it, and thank you very much for listening. You are free to ask questions.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khairan. Very, very fruitful, alhamdulillah. I just want two questions. One is on the critical dimension, which we are asking about, or making connections essentially to get the kids thinking about the creation of Allah. We're doing this in every science lesson, right? So my question is, for the age groups we're teaching, doesn't that get redundant? Like, aren't they saying, yeah, we know, this can't come all together on its own, it's going to come from Allah? Does that ever come up in either an experience with people doing it or just in your conversations?
If it's redundant and they know, then that's good. The goal is fulfilled. And as Dr. Najati said, we craft different questions depending on the age level. So maybe in grade 1, we'll just discuss nature, and maybe as we progress, we'll talk about chants, will bring out causality and how they speak of the cause of something. So it really depends on you, on the teacher, how you craft these questions,
Right.
and how you design it for your students. What we displayed here is something which is general, and what you can take from it what you need for your class.
Right, okay, thank you.
And eventually the children will come up with it with themselves. Maybe at the beginning of the lesson they'll say, okay, we know what you're going to do. Here's the analogy. Here's the questions. Can we end the lesson and go for break? You
Yeah.
might say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Inshallah. I think she put it beautifully that if it's redundant, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Like, I think with younger students, like I agree with us that I think with younger students this is fine. They're fine with the redundancy. They're like, oh yeah, we know this again, we'll answer. But as you get to the older kids, they get
Then the challenges come. That's where then, age-appropriate teaching has to take place. Then that's when actually you want them to come with their questions so that it can be discussed. You don't want their questions to be hidden. Right now, half the problem is that they're not telling their questions until it's too late. And people are finding out in university that, this child has had all these doubts and no one answered.
I'm just saying that I think that as they get older, it needs to be done in a way that's a little bit more
Sophisticated, yeah.
Yeah.
Inshallah, after lunch, we'll show you our website, and you can see the articles that we have, which are very deep, 25 pages long. Deep arguments. Okay, so and in fact we've struggled to simplify. Our struggle has been, kindergarten 1, 2, 3. We've been since January, same chapters again and again. I'm dreaming about those chapters because we really want to break it down. We don't want this model to be something that a teacher can't apply in the classroom. So age-appropriate application of this is very necessary.
I think the other point to that, to your point, because you're right, I'm thinking about the older grades as well, is the more you make it clear to them the outcomes that they're going to achieve, the more they maybe engage or the more minds-on they'll have, right? So I think the 5D model should be very transparent, that this is what we're doing, right? All grades, in fact. And the way to kind of grab their attention or grab their interest or perhaps inspire or even attain insights from them, right, is to say, we're going to cover a tough topic this time, right? And I want you to think as we're going through each dimension, because they know the dimensions, I want you to start thinking already about the critical one, right? How are you going to connect that back to the creator? So that it's not just questions we're asking, but they know we're going to get to that space of
older grades are more capable.
Like I was even thinking about the same way that Mr. Asad was thinking, and I had an idea that we could have like 5-6 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to ask them to connect to that, which name is more connected to the subject they're teaching. So it's more challenging and it's coming from them. And actually I think after a while, like I thought the same idea, like how we're gonna, it's gonna be redundant, kind of like finding the name, and the hadith is an assignment to find the hadith, or it's an assignment to find the names and connect to them. So it's become more like you have to be, like you have to have variety of activities
the
and
connect.
Changes,
right? Yeah.
So the idea is for them to connect, and you have to be really very versatile in your way.
I think there's we need to really look at it. The type of knowledge we're giving here is not the factual knowledge, it's ma'rifah ilahiyya. So the ma'rifah ilahiyya is a different category of knowledge. Like you say subhanallah every day, though you say the same thing. You recite alhamdulillah 40 times every day in your prayer, in your whole life. You never get tired of that. So why it's not? Is the redundancy is there? In this case, you should be completely tired of that. So it's actually there are different categories of knowledge that we think the knowledge we try to bring it here is a knowledge that belongs to ma'rifah ilahiyya, that ma'rifatullah. That type of knowledge is like a water, is like an air you need constantly. You always need to have to make a zikr of Allah. So we try to really bring the remembrance in that subject. And then actually the way we can look at it, we say, this is like, you need food every day. You might need to change the food you eat, but essentially you need the food every day. You need to drink the same water every day. And you never get tired of that one because the need is renewed every day. So the way we test this, we say this, we need to look at this as a teachers first. I'm cooking something and I need to taste, I need to enjoy it first. If I do enjoy that, don't worry about it, they will enjoy as well. But if you find it's not enjoyable to you, that means you did not do a good job. So as you cook a food, you make a delicious cake, first taste it. As you go and share with others, you need to taste and actually make them to desire to eat it. So therefore, those subjects, on every time when we work, and like, I think the redundancy will mostly belong to us maybe, because we work on it again and again on these topics. We have done it maybe over 100 topics so far. I easily over 100 topics. So, but actually every time when we sit down, if the analogy is really good, and if the subject is really done in a good way, you truly enjoy that. Because it's like tafakkur is a form of ibadah, that you go through that. So therefore, it's really essential for this model first. We need to get the teacher to internalize. They have to really get it very well. They have to cook it very well, enjoy it first. We can help them how to prepare. But if they don't really enjoy, and if the word doesn't come from their heart, it will not go to the heart of students. So they have to internalize, and students should see that, yeah, really, this is something amazing. She is enjoying, or he is enjoying, we're presenting. Then they can have a desire to eat as well. So therefore, I think, and also in terms of the grade level, it is unbelievable the amount of variety of that for reflection. There is really no limit for that one. What we need to do, let's say if we covered plants in a different grade, we try to bring a different aspect for reflection. So that's how you can prevent the redundancy. So in other words, yeah, you don't want to bring like as they do in the Middle East, kabza all the time, right? The same type of meal. You want to have a variety. There are different type of food as well. So I think that could be done, in terms of the diversity in topics, and in terms of the depthness as you go up, So let's say if you're talking about the site, now you can talk to the low grade level different, but when you go to the high school, could you bring the concept of what is really seeing? Is it the brain seeing? Is it the eye seeing? Or is it the soul seeing? So, and you can go and actually look at the scientific discussion on that one. And that will bring a completely different level of discussion on what the scene is, how the creation of the site is happening. So therefore, I don't really see there will be any problem on this ground. And I think the redundancy is like in a way that, yes, we want to really make sure they get these classes, they get this methodology very well, because then they can themselves apply this to some things that they observe in their life, because we don't want them to just actually limit themselves with what we present to them. It's like you also teach them how to cook, so they can go and actually apply these concepts once they grasp the model very well. So in a way that you want to teach them how to fish. You give them some fish, but you want to teach them fishing as well, because that's how you want to make it clear they understand the methodology. Because they can apply and they can actually, enjoy it as well in many other areas as well.
And regarding the scope and sequence of the curriculum, that is something that we're relying on you guys to help us out with, because the application in the classroom is what matters, right? So just what Professor Njati, the example he gave of which grade will you talk about where is site coming from, right? You can't talk about it in grade 1. So which grade will you talk about? It's a scope and sequence of the concepts, all the concepts you've heard since Monday. We've heard so many different ideas. They all have to be integrated into a curriculum in order for the objective, which is thinking personalities, able to deal with anything that they see. When they see something, they know, okay, this is how I'm going to question it, and this is how I'm going to understand that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, even in the same grade or in the same class, the reflection of learning, they reflect through, the learning is reflection through their experience. It will be different in one class, the depth of the deep of this reflection. So that's why in the closing and the closing of the class, we also try to pull how they reflect their learning. Yeah, I used to have my session with, if we just go like this, so it means we just snorkeling. Yeah, and then go deeper, and then we have scuba diving. And then if it is the depth, we have submarine. Yeah, so I have to use that analogy with my students. Which one that you see? And then they reflect themselves. They assess themselves. Assessment for learning. Yeah, like that. I think that's we can add for that reflection from the learning process.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure.
It would be a good idea if like a Google Drive was created, and then we shared lesson plans, and then we can use them among ourselves, like how the teachers pay teachers. Just as they
No, not Google Drive. Actually, we have a 5D thinking website, so we could turn this in a portal. Then in which that we will give you certain, so let's say, login information, and then you can go and share that. You will absolutely. We designed the system is already designed in that way, and so we can, as we move on, we could do that. Basically, we'll have a 5D thinking teachers. So in this case, they will share their own material as well. There could be some material we will share, some material teacher will say that. I think we could do that.
Great. Also the plans, for example, for me, I already made my plans for the coming year, teaching science for grade 6, for example. I really now want to go back and change the PowerPoints into this 5D. So I don't know if I will make it correct or wrong. So I wish there is a portal I can upload, you can check it, if it's done right, wrong, you can share
feedback.
With others. And for the exit tickets, I also prepare for my classes always tiny, teeny, printed already exit tickets for every lesson. If they're lower grade, they can just draw a happy face or a sad face or what they feel. Up a little bit, they can write what did they understand from the lesson. So sometimes I feel really shocked when they catch something, I said it very fast. Or maybe one time I said an area, and they are Arabs, but they don't speak Arabic well. So they speak English all the time. So they called the area and they wrote that. I was, do you know? And maybe it stood. So these ideas, tiny ideas at the end of the tickets, they make a difference. And I hang them as a big word for them, to see for the whole week.
So you use exit cards?
Exit cards, I make them, actually it's easy online. I make them for every lesson.
Well, I have a question here. Maybe Dr. Najat can answer that one. Just, is that 5-day thinking method can be implemented in social sciences too? In science, physics, chemistry, biology, it's easy. It seems very nice, easy for me as a science teacher, but I'm thinking, how can we implement in history, maybe geography, maybe, but some other social topics? Can we think about this, what can be done in that issue?
Yeah, I think this is our next stage, that we think this is, if everything is an ayah, not only the bird and physical reality, the entire reality are ayah, that means we should apply to that as well. We have some examples, but the easy one for us to go to science, but absolutely we think it could be applied to social science, the history, because actually from the Tawhidi perspective, God is at the center of history. He's the one directing, creating, controlling everything. It's not those big figures, big guys as they teach us as if they shape the history. It's God actually shaping the history. He is behind every single event, every single thing. He's the one that is controlling the movement of the leaf. Obviously, he's the one also in charge and know what's happening in terms of the human affairs. So it's really essential. I just give you a very little example in terms of how you can apply to human. In our previous sessions, we had one as an actually she was professor of computer science. She joined the Existence and Meaning program. She's gonna retire next year. She just want to gain knowledge. She was like sitting with us as a student. And she said, she came with her husband to the program. She said that, today I got the bad news. My daughter was supposed to join us. She went to the airport, and then she learned that her ticket was spam, that we got it online. She paid like $2,000 or something, and then it turned out to be spam. She was obviously feeling sorry in a way. Now, then I said, okay, how would you use this perspective to understand this? And how would you use a Harfi perspective to analyze this case? So, and I first asked the participant, and one of them said, oh, we can, she said she was also a convert from Russia, and so she became Muslim a few weeks ago. She said, in our country, we'll say, that could be worse than this, just like, don't be happy that it was the ticket, nothing, and not other things. So in a way, I said that's good, but I said that's really not the Harfi perspective. The Harfi perspective is when you show the cup is not like to say half is full and half is empty, pay attention to the full one. No, that's not the Harfi perspective. The Harfi perspective says that the cup is absolutely full. There's nothing to be worried or to feel bad about. Why? This is water, this is air, and air is more even important than water. So there is nothing empty there, okay? So in this case, I said, imagine this. I said, imagine that you have the insurance for your ticket. And imagine the insurance company, we're going to give you, 100 times more than what you lose it. Would you be sad or would you be happy when something like this happened to you? She said, of course I'd be happy. I said that you are under the divine insurance. So what you lost it from the Harfi perspective is absolutely not loss for you. It's a great gain for you. And the person who made such a wrong choice is only the harm to that person. So in a way that basically when you connect everything to the Creator, that since He is all good, khayri mutlaq, anything that comes from Him has to be good as well. So therefore it's absolutely essential that we read our event in our personal life, the social life, in history, through the lens of Quran as well, in connection with Creator. Because remember, we mentioned from the day one the problem with this connection of Creator from creation. But that's not about objects only, that's about event as well. How do you read your life? How would you connect God to your own personal life? Is He really in charge of He is just, intervene once a while? Or is He in charge of every single thing in your life? To the level that perhaps from the Harfi perspective, everything that happened to you is actually from Him, and He is absolutely given what you truly ask from Him. So therefore, this is very clear that you can find the ayah, وَآتَاكُمْ min kulli ma sa'altumuha. So it says we give you from every wish that you ask for it. Which means if you did not get what you were hoping to get, check whether you really ask properly. Because He is very clear in Quran. He really hears us. He is close to us. He's with us. Huwa ma'akum aynama kuntum. Wherever you go, He is with you. He is with you not in the sense that He's just watching. He is with you because He is in charge of everything about your life. He is the one sustaining, maintaining, caring, dealing, answering every single thing that you need. So it's essential to establish this connection as well. So therefore, we plan to have that. But for social science, for particular psychology type, we think rather how we're going to use analogy. So we're going to use tamthil as an analogy. So we're going to use story, either the real story, that we think the Quranic story is actually an analogy. So therefore, whenever you look at those prophetic story, this is analogical thinking. Oh, the Pharaoh, who is this Pharaoh? Oh, this is a story given to you that you have to actually consider about yourself. Oh, maybe this Pharaoh is my nafs within me. Okay, and that's my story. Oh, this Quran is telling something directly to me. Oh, who is this prophet Ayub who had this problem? Oh, that's me actually. That's the Quran used this allegorical prophetic story telling something directly to me. So we plan to do for social science, for human science, we're going to use those prophetic story, we're going to use the actual story, or we're going to use a hypothetical story for our allegory or for our analogy, and then we're going to build everything else based on that one to see how we can relate and connect everything to the Creator. But that is inshallah part of the plan. It will be a little challenging, but it must be done for that as well.
Okay, inshallah, we're going over time. It's Jummah today. So we'll wind up now. Jazakallah khair, Aisha, for the amazing insight you've given for the 5D method, the topics, the checklist. Everything was wonderful, alhamdulillah. So on the WhatsApp group, I put the order of the presentations that you'll be doing. and maximum 15 minutes, okay, so that we can get through all of them. So I'm giving the chance to the people who didn't present yesterday to be first, inshallah. Okay, so if we could be here at 2 o'clock, please, start on time, so that we can finish on time. We have the meeting today as well. The meeting is about your ideas, what you think you want to do next with this, how we can help you. So prepare for that as well, inshallah. So we see you here at 2 o'clock.